And we are joined by Dr. S.V. Sharma, former Deputy Director of ISRO, to help us understand in your space journey. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Now, how has ISRO's cost-effective program, influenced global perceptions of space exploration and cooperation?
Good evening, Mark, and good evening to the million DD viewers. I'm extremely happy to be here to take you through the gaps, what was seen in the presentation already made. I would like to emphasize here that the country has launched more than 127 rockets, which are PSLV, GSLV, Mark III, SSLV, and the SS and the Solar Satellite Launch Vehicle, etc. This is one of the major achievements that the country has made. Other than Chandrayaan, other than Mangalyaan, and the Aditya, etc., which are all the scientific missions, the country has also achieved the self-reliance in the communication. It has launched at least 20, 25, 26 of the communication satellites which are in the orbit, which are extensively giving coverage for the television, broadcasting, mobile service, and all the communication networks are covered by the geosynchronous launch vehicle, the satellites which are in 36,000 kilometer orbit. And the second major application, what we have to really stress upon is also the Earth observation satellites, the satellites which for oceanographic application, to study the ocean, to map the Earth, the cartographic application, the resources satellites which are studying continuously the resources available in the Earth, and also not to mention, but not the least, is something which is required for the strategic application also, the satellites which are really of immense usage and immense need for protecting 140 crore vital citizens of this country.
Absolutely.
These are the
Yes, but Dr. Sharma, if we look at the technological and scientific advancements that have come recently, in terms of Chandrayaan 3, Mangalyaan, and Aditya L1, what have we actually gained? What significant scientific advancements have we made?
Mark, we should remember that we are starting from the scratch, and we are helping ourselves, and we are doing everything differently than what others do. When we first entered the Mars orbit, the entire world looked at it and said, how did you people do it at a mere budget of 450 crores, where even a Hollywood movie cannot be made? Okay, and the way we think, the way we plan, the way we execute is something tangentially different from what is happening across the world. We are also not, easily given the technology of various, for example, cryogenic engine, or high bitrate data transmission reception, or even the recording systems, or even the communication systems. It is not that it is available for us easily, or it is. Therefore, the solutions what we are evolving, Mark, is that using the available resources, using the available electronics, using the available mechanical systems, and using the the fabrication systems available in this country, we are best using the brains of this country to ensure that we do something which is different from what other countries have done, is something which we should really look upon and say. Even when we landed in Chandrayaan 3 in South Pole, everyone wondered why on Earth, India is landing on Chandrayaan in the South Pole, where nobody had gone, and it was such a high-risk mission to go to Chandrayaan, land Chandrayaan 3 in South Pole. But the fact of the matter is that there is a purpose that this country does for everything. Everything the country does, the ISRO does, the US does in particular, there is a purpose. For example, even the astronauts sending to the ISS, there is a purpose. We have, the Gaganyaan pending 2026-27, and 2035-2040 we have for the ISS. Therefore, every activity since 1962, the ISRO came into existence till today, every activity there is a purpose. Every money spent, there is accountability, and the organization is so resilient and so responsible that
indeed, Dr. Sharma, let's look at the future then. There is the Gaganyaan mission. How is it reshaping our ambitions? Human space flight, there's going to be international space diplomacy in a sense as a result of all this.
Mark, if you see the future of what is being thought about for this country in large, DOS, that is the Department of Space in particular, the activities what it is carrying out to reach to every citizen of this country is something which is important, which this organization will do and ensure that the connectivity and the reach to the every citizen is there. This first. Second thing is also to motivate the 140 crore people to make the children educate in technical technical lines and scientific lines, and making them very happy to be a citizen of this country. Second, something which we have to be really proud of and which we have to be accountable for. And third is that the more importantly, and our bread and butter is our science and technology. The way we are moving forward, Gaganyaan, there is very little doubt that we will be having any difficulty in the Gaganyaan mission, because 4 astronauts were selected in 2019. One of them is Subhanshu Shukla, who was trained in our own astronaut training center, Glaucosmos, and America, and then he has gone, and he has the first-hand experience. Look, 101 algorithms will be written to say that how to ride a bicycle, but unless otherwise you ride, you will not know. Unless otherwise you fall, you will not know what is the taste of riding.
You did mention, Dr. Sharma, about bread and butter. And now, of course, the space program is, in fact, helping us in every single way, from agriculture to disaster management to communication. Can you throw light on, briefly about how vital it is for our existence today?
Mark, as I said, satellites
you mentioned it, yes.
Every application. Satellites are made for every application, okay? Be it the navigation satellites. Navigation satellites are so important that even when at the time of distress the country was facing, the navigation satellite, the NAVIC satellite came into rescue to give the accurate position locations for the really required strategic activities of this country, number one. Number two, as far as agricultural developments are concerned, which is the basis for this country, there are satellites which are imaging the crop-related aspects and anticipating and expecting and giving regular, continuous feedbacks to the farmers to sow the seeds, when to sow the seed, when to crop, how to do, etc. It's completely connected through the mobiles, etc., and they are getting the information. Second, third is the fishery. So fishery is also another very important industry which the country is the thing. There are oceanography satellites where the satellites are continuously tracking the potential fishing zones and the potential the fishermen of help. This is the third, and the fourth is the cartography, the imageries of this the country. Continuously we are taking. Not but the least, please remember that the disaster management, if you have seen about a decade or decade and a half back, whenever there used to be a disaster, there used to be mass elimination of people, and but now you see the recent most disaster management also.
Dr. Sharma, we are running short of time, so let me get your views on this last question I had in mind. There's a lot of commercialization that's taking place in space already. There's a growing private sector involvement and global competition. How is India dealing with this?
Well, very good question. But last but not the least, the most important thing is the policy change that this particular government has adopted in terms of going global and encouraging the startups to come up with various solutions for the space programs. Look, about a decade and a half back, we hardly had 1 or 2 or 100 startups, but today we have more than thousands of startups which are giving solutions for solutions on various tasks and various issues that can be otherwise not easy to solve. Anything which is done by the private, anything which is done by the private agencies, participation of private agencies, there is always that you can expect the results at much faster rate than being done by ourselves. Therefore, the decision of keeping the core R&D with the ISRO and allowing all the startups to come out with specific solutions in terms of the weather monitoring, or in terms of temperature, in terms of cartography, or in terms of even the going to Chandrayaan, or making the payloads, and also the colonization of the moon, etc., which is being talked about, going to Venus. The private and the public participation and the startup participation is really, really going to be in a very big. As far as the last point, what I wanted to make a mention is that today we are only 2% of the budget in the economy, the space
Right.
economy. I'm sure that we'll be reaching 10 to 15%. The way we are moving 2035 to 2040, we'll be one
Okay.
of the leading nations for supply of the space
Indeed,
and
it's
space.
definitely a growing sector. Thank you very much, Dr. S.V. Sharma, former Deputy Director of ISRO. Thank you for helping us understand India's space program and its many milestones.